we're gonna do our last VPM deck profile, and it's gonna be the best deck ever. Eradicator is all I'm gonna say. It's the best deck ever. Eradicator is just awesome everywhere they're in. First, we restart. Eradicator, Spring Light, Draco Kid. Basic. When you ride on, draw a card, and if you want to say you get this quick shield, which is just like a 5k shield or discard 5. This deck we use it as discard 5 mostly. And what's our trigger lineup for heal? And it's our Sayaba heal because she's an Eradicator that can come up if you want. Usually you don't want to, but because the heal trigger, but it can come up. Then 4 perfect guards because we need our discard cost. We want to have some hand size, and it's a PG, so yeah. I would run the Crystal House if it's like a protect deck. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crits for obvious reasons, so you can just crit your opponent to death. Now we'll start with great ones. 2. Desert Gunner Gaiban. I don't know how to pronounce it. He says at the end of battle, your Vanguard attack, choose one of your units, it gets plus 3k and Sentinel Restrict. Which, because of all the crits and we have some things that resound in our deck, a couple things that resound in our deck, it helps with just pressuring out that, giving you lots of pressure. Then we'll run 3. Maybe block June. We roll 4. We're gonna take it that it's really good. Well, if he owns you blind sign, he's a 15. He's a 13k. And when he's placed on Vanguard or Rear Guard, you can look at top 5, and if there's a great thing you want to put in your hand, and if you did, you had to discard a card. Sometimes you even just do it to with discard rating, just so you can just filter through the deck. Sometimes, depending on the way the game's going. Oh, but yeah, great 3 searcher. 4, Rising Phoenix. It says while it's in drop zone, if something is bound, you get to call and gets plus 3k until end turn. So it's a way so you can just get a full field, and just punch for lots of attacks. We're Excel anyway. So yeah. And our last and best grade 1, Isolation Eradicator Nusku. She says, when placed on Vanguard, we're going to look at top 5, look for any Eradicator, add to your hand. And if you put it in a hand, setting your hand, discard a card. So it's like this, but it's for Eradicators, which is more than our grade 3, so that's what it is 4. This is 3. Yeah, and it's an Eradicator, so you want to get that, all that stuff. And now grade 2s. We run 4 Eradicator Spark Raise Dragon. Its first ability is only on Vanguard. It's the same ability as Nusku, except it also gains plus 5k until the end of your turn. And then the second way is on Vanguard or Rear Guard circle. When its attack hits, you can soul plus 1 to draw a card. It's draw. We don't get soul that much, but still, it can come up. Then, and it's a regular. And then we have Lightning Whip Eradicator for Lightning Whip Eradicator Sahil. When he's on a reduced rework, get plus 5k, so a 14k hitter. And also, when he's placed on Vanguard Rear, you can, if you have Eradicator Vanguard, you can discard any card from your hand to bottom front row, and then draw a card. So it's loot and draw and bind, which is really good. And if you loot with this, that's a straight advantage. Our last grade 2 is Venusaur Riker. So he's been oral and so going to his ability. When he's placed, you can count +1, choose a column, bind the front, and move the back. Pretty simple. And about your Vanguard attacked, if your opponent has no front row, you can count +1 and stand him. So he helps you multi-attack, and and now rare 3s, and this rare 3 can't multi-attack, but also it can be just help you finish it. For Eradicator Dragonic Descendant. Yeah, the Apocalypse Boy's back. If you didn't know already, his first is a continuous. When you ride an Eradicator on top of him, when you ride him on top of an Eradicator, he gains all of its abilities. So, yeah, every single ability of that rider he rides upon it, agree. Like, if you had to ride all our riches of Vanguard abilities as well, so that makes it quite good, but usually would ride upon our ace, because you'll know why. He also said you can sell +1, choose 1 rear guards, or bind it, and then your opponent chooses any back row, and moves it to an open front row. So that can actually possibly get behind your Vanguard, which is actually quite interesting. And then the last boy, it's typical Descendant, enemy value attack. If he did not hit, count +1, discard a card, restand him. Yeah, and he gets -1 drive, but he's a restanding Vanguard. That with all our crits and with like our Sentinel restrict gets like crazy stuff. Now the main thing on our top right, you write this first and then descend, because this makes it okay. Our main boy, Eradicator Gauntlet Buster Dragon, the best and most powerful unit that has ever existed. I don't care what people say, he is the best. He has, during your turn, this gets 5k to crit for every opponent's front row rear guard. Usually it's 3 crit, but if you're facing an Urksol deck, they can get to 4 or more, which is kind of crazy. And then you can count +1, discard a card to bind their entire front row rear guards and move the back things behind them to the front. So you can count +2 and discard 2 to just nuke the rear guard columns, which is actually quite crazy. Yeah, like we just nuke, get lots of crit and we have critters as well, so it makes it so we can just one-shot them out of nowhere. Well, yeah, like that is the deck profile. Hope you guys like it. And you know, it's 10 out.